to the Crimewatch studio first here on BBC One for an update on tonight's cases with Nick Ross.
Bill's check.
Welcome back. On the murder of Laura Donnelly, detectives say the phones in Paisley are, and I quote, rigging off the wall. On the Doncaster rape, police say the response has been terrific. On the bogus social workers, we've simply been inundated with sightings and further incidents. One name's come up 4 times. On the Swansea murder of a whole family, well, let's hear about that now. It was one of the most terrible crimes on record. We showed new evidence which has transformed the inquiry. We had new appeals to the people of Swansea. The victims were an 8-year-old, her 10-year-old sister, their mother, Mandy Power, and their granny at their home at Clydach at the end of June.
Where to?
Calvin Road. We still do here.
This is outside Mandy's house. Martin, the most crucial clue was a woman dropped by a taxi outside the house where the murders took place at about the right time. You had to find that woman. The most dramatic thing that happened tonight, or appeared dramatic, may not be that dramatic. That is 6 people named the same woman.
We have had 6 calls, in fact, giving us the same woman's name. Now, we've actually spoken to that woman, and she has been eliminated from this investigation.
Right.
She, in fact, is known by the witness.
OK, so it's definitely not her.
No.
What about all the other people who've put names to that woman?
Well, we're still obviously working through that, and
Most important of all, perhaps, you were trying to trace somebody who had a necklace identical to this, gold necklace, which was found at the murder scene, and you're looking for someone who's missing that since the murders.
yes, we still are. We're still trying to find out who is aware of this necklace.
Now, one person at least rang on that, isn't
At least
there?
one, yes.
Could be the right one?
May well be.
OK, thank you. Now, earlier tonight, I introduced a new member of the Crimewatch team, the man who's taken over from David Hatcher. Here he is, Superintendent Jeremy Payne.
Thank you, Nick. We've had some very good calls on the robber with dark glasses. We've had a detective constable ring up, and he's pretty certain he knows who he is. So can you have another good look at this good image, and if you recognise him, then please ring back. On our motorbike thief, we've had lots of calls into the incident room and also into the studio, suggestions where these classic bikes might be going, and about 40 calls on who the EFIT might be.
Now, what seemed to be a woman child abuser who may be part of a paedophile ring. As we suspected, we've had lots of calls tonight from viewers who think that they too may have been approached by the same people, or people at any rate pretending to be social workers.
Look, that's it. You can see I don't hurt my kids.
OK. We can see they're OK, but we will be keeping a close eye on you.
Helen Collins, you've got a big stack of responses there.
We've had an absolutely brilliant response. It's been overwhelming, absolutely
Really
fantastic, absolutely
What
brilliant.
sort of information have you got?
We've got information about names, the same name cropping up at least 4 times.
Is that for the woman or for the man?
The man in this occasion. We've also got a little cluster of events in the Midlands, which look promising.
In the Midlands, because the ones we showed were in the southwest of London
Yeah.
and in Surrey.
Yes, that's right, but we have this little cluster in the Midlands
And you
as well.
suspected there was a paedophile ring operating?
Yes.
And the woman, have you got any names for her?
We have a few names for the woman, but it seems to be the man that's come across more than anything else.
OK, any calls in particular that struck you?
Yeah, we've had calls from prison officers and traffic wardens and generally people who are involved in the criminal justice system, which is very promising.
You're quite excited about
Yeah,
it.
I am very,
Good.
very excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See if you can help on its next 2 cases. Slightly disappointing so far. Firstly, Brian Cunningham, or indeed he uses the name Davis. One call from a prison officer there looks quite promising and will be followed up. And next, that supermarket raid in Staffordshire. 2 different names for the man wearing the fleece, who may be connected, was seen earlier on the day of the raid. Still, please call in if you can help with either of these cases.
Now the rape in Scoresby near Doncaster, a 15-year-old girl ambushed, hit repeatedly on the head with a hammer as she walked home from school. A dreadfully upsetting crime, but thankfully there were lots of sightings, and tonight there have been lots of calls.
Why don't you move?
Derek, as I say, lots of calls, good ones?
Yes, some very, very interesting information. Back in Doncaster, we've received calls naming the same man twice. Very interesting calls, both from professional people who are in a position to know about this individual, so that wants thoroughly researching. Another lady that's phoned into this studio I would dearly like to speak to. She claims that she was raped by this guy about 12 months ago, and it wasn't reported to the police at that time. I can understand how distressed she may be, but it's vital that she gets back to us.
Now, the lines here are now closed. On CFAX on page 621, she can find other numbers to call into for this inquiry, and you can guarantee that that call will be received really sensitively, will you?
That's right, I can guarantee it will. If she can't find the number on CFAX, if she phones any South Yorkshire police station, she'll be dealt with sympathetically, and we really do need to speak to her.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anthony James Fitzgerald, a very serious sex attacker. We desperately need to get hold of him. He's been sighted on the road today between Peterborough and Thornley. So if you've seen him, have another good look and give us a ring. The London pub attack, we're going to play that again because we've had a caller who's asked us to play it and thinks that he or she might recognise them and is going to ring back. So please do.
Now the murder that's been such big news in Scotland and that's had some really interesting calls tonight. The death of Laura Donnelly. Just after that bus passed her, Laura was attacked on her way back from a nightclub and murdered. Now, tell us about the calls you've had.
We've had a tremendous response. We've literally had dozens of calls, people telling us about their concerns. We've had suggestions of who the arguing couple may have been. And there's one particular call here where naming someone who was at the hospital about that time that night, and we'll obviously follow that up.
Now, you were particularly interested in someone who might have been at the local A&E department or walking away from there about 2 o'clock that morning. Yeah. Could that be the right person?
It could be, but it's important to point out, if you were at the Royal Alexandra Hospital about that time that night, anywhere in the hospital, we need to speak to you.
You were saying to the people at Paisley, has anybody's behaviour changed since this rape? And you've had lots of calls on that too.
Yes, obviously people do have concerns once they think back, and I understand their concerns, but I want to reassure you, I can deal with that sensitively and in confidence, and we do have the DNA that we can very quickly put their mind at rest.
To eliminate. Okay, thank you.
This could have been the vital clue to solve a series of sex attacks in southeast London. Very few calls. Please, if you've seen this gold pocket watch with FWF on reverse, please still keep ringing in. And next we were after William Porter. DC Glenn Taylor from Sussex tells me the phones have been really buzzing. Some victims of similar incidents in the last couple of days have come forward and they could provide essential information, so thank you for that.
If you still have information, please call us. Not here to the studio, the lines are closing just about now. But as I say, there are numbers on CFAX on page 621. You can also email us if you're on email. That's at crimewatchuk@the BBC. On any case, you can ring Crime Stoppers anonymously if you want. That's a free phone number, 0800 555 111. If you've been a victim and you'd like to talk to someone at Victim Support Line in confidence, there are people there for a couple of hours yet tonight. The number's 0845 30 30 900. And do join us next month, Tuesday, October the 12th. Given the information coming in tonight, there's no need to have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
First thing to